Welcome, low ego action heroes and phoenixes. I'm Debbie Levitt from Delta CX, and welcome to the usually every Wednesday show, Ask Me Anything. This is where you can ask me anything, and I am happy to give thoughts, advice, discussions, coaching, whatever you think you need. You can ask in the chat, it'll pop up on the screen here. Or if you'd like to ask something longer or more anonymously, go to dcx.to/Q for question, and you can ask anything and it'll come into my email. We can get it on the screen, and you are welcome to be anonymous. We do not have any questions ahead of time today. You're always welcome to send them in 24 hours a day, and I save them for the Wednesday shows. So meanwhile, while we wait for a question, I'm just going to mention that all of the links to all of our community resources can be found at the short URL dcx.to. And that will give you links to our free Discord, free Patreon, upcoming streams and events, Twitch, which I hope you'll follow on. Much better to follow and subscribe on Twitch than on YouTube, or LinkedIn, unfortunately. Lots of areas of coaching that I've been opening up, and I'll be opening up more soon. So yeah, all the possible links of anything. If you're like, gee, I wonder if Deb does this, or how would I find XYZ, just start at dcx.to, and that page can probably help. Or you can always just write to me and I'll try to tell you where to find whatever it is. So we are live. It's May 27, 2026. And again, usually I hang out here about 10 minutes to see if anybody has a question. Ana Lucia, I was waiting for the stream on Twitch. Is it not working? Let's check. I might have messed something up. Oh, I did not turn on Twitch. Thank you. Let's see if it will auto start. Yes, it's going to start on Twitch now. Thank you, Ana Lucia. I had my settings still set for Vocal Coach Debbie, and I forgot to shift over all of the settings to Delta CX Hive. So thanks for the note. Come on over on Twitch. Hey, I see 4 people watching on YouTube. Hey, YouTubers, do you have a question for me, or a topic you would like to discuss, or anything you want to get a thought or opinion on? Let me know. Much better. Okay, Ana Lucia, now on Twitch. Yes, Twitch is much better. So I definitely recommend that. Let's see. This weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday will be my last Maven course for my Atomic Product Market Fit and how to use AI for excellent research. So if you want to jump on that, there's still an opportunity. You can just go to our courses page, which again is, I think, dcx.to/courses, and you'll be able to join from there. If you need a lower price for any reason, you don't have to tell me your story. Just message me, email me, and let me know what you can pay, and I'll make sure you're added. I think we have 7 people for this course, and it is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You will get recordings later, so if you can't join live, you will be able to watch the recordings later. And so, yeah. Up to you. You are absolutely welcome to join. And then I'm going to continue that course later in the year, but take it off Maven because there's really no good reason to use Maven. Every other year I give them another chance, and I'm never happy I did. So giant F Maven. Today I can't even get to their page. Today their page is giving me error messages. When I try to look at my chat room for the upcoming course, because people are already writing to me, I get application error. A client-side exception has occurred. See the browser console for more information. I think they're vibe coding their site because last time I had a problem with Maven, I got a Vercel, or however you pronounce them, error message. So, yes, I feel exceedingly done with Maven. This will be my last course with them. So, check out what's coming. We've also got the Phoenix Flight Collective coming a few more times this year. And that is a multi level, we're going to do a whole show explaining it, but that's a 3-level program to help people brainstorm, plan, launch, and grow any type of business or startup. And it is based on group coaching and individual coaching so that you will get the help that you need. It is paid, but again, if you can't afford it, just let me know what you can afford and we will adjust it accordingly for you. In reality, nearly no two people pay the same amount for any of my stuff. People write to me and say, "Hey, you have this for 200, I can only pay 100. Hey, you have this for 300, I can only pay 150. Hey, I can only pay 75." Whatever it is. So far, I'm not saying no to people. I would rather see them involved and learning and getting support than to tell people, "Sorry, that's the price, go away." So let's do a quick check of my email to see if any anonymous questions have come in, because that is how they come in. Nothing yet. So we'll give this a. If you don't have questions today, I have a topic. Okay, Ana Lucia, the floor is yours. And I hope people don't mind my crappy outfit today, but I decided to do a 35-kilometer bike ride and just threw on a crappy shirt that I wouldn't mind if it got messy and dirty, and here I am still wearing that, and boy oh boy, ready to roll into bed. So let's see what Ana Lucia wants to talk about. But if you're watching this live and you have a discussion topic, if you have something on your mind, remember I'm also a certified life coach. And so if you, again, I'm not a therapist, but if there's something you want to talk about, please bring it up. Okay, so Ana Lucia has a question or a discussion topic around synthetic users and that they are defending them. Okay, let's see if I can find the article Ana Lucia's referring to. Give me a moment. I think I'm finding it. Give me a moment. Just got to do. Okay, I found it. Just got to decline some cookies and open this up in a new window and get ready to share that window. So give me one moment. But I found it. Okay, I think we got it. So let's cue this up. And I think this is what Ana Lucia is talking about. Ana Lucia says, I feel like there may have been some biases around this article. Confirmation biases, bad interviewers, not sure, but something stinks. All right, let's just make a note in uh, what'll end up being the YouTube description that this was a topic we talked about. So let's take a look at this article. This is the first time I'm seeing it, so I don't have any opinion yet. But it's on Bain and Company, looks like in their blog. And it says, at a glance, companies are using synthetic customers to accelerate product development, test marketing, and train frontline teams. Organizations that build synthetic customers should rely on their first party data rather than vendors' third party data. Improving model accuracy allows teams to test more variables, eliminate weak ideas earlier, and focus human research where it matters most. Large language models still lack true empathy, leaving a vital role for human judgment. Okay, so we can see right away in these 4 bullet points, these are kind of the key takeaways of the article, so that even if you don't read the whole article, since it's a little on the alongside, you're still getting the key points. Let's take a quick look at these key points. So companies are using synthetic customers to accelerate, right? But we don't know from that sentence if they are using them successfully. We don't know if, to say companies are using synthetic customers sounds like Debbie is eating food. We don't know if that food is good. We don't know if the food is healthy. We don't know if Debbie has died from it. There's a lot of the story missing, and maybe the article goes into that, but this is your opportunity to win me over and make me want to read this article. Next, organizations that build synthetic customers should rely on first party data rather than vendors' third party data. This I absolutely agree on, though again, I think it's missing information, but again, it is a bullet point takeaway. And what they're really saying here is make sure that whatever evidence, data, or knowledge feeds any synthetic customers or synthetic users or AI models of users comes from your own data. Don't rely on what other people or an LLM or Claude says about your customers because the training might be wrong, biased, hallucinated. So I can certainly agree with that, that if you're going to be doing anything, that is AI based or LLM based or synthetic in that sense, you want it to be based on excellent research and excellent data. Improving model accuracy allows teams to test more variables, eliminate weak ideas earlier, and focus human research where it matters most. So, this is a typical line that I see in a lot of these types of articles, which is and we've debunked this time and time again over at this point multiple years. The idea that if we can use these models, because a synthetic customer is essentially a model. You say, look, this is our customer profile, and this is what we know about these customers. It's what we know about how they shop or behave or buy or whatever, so that we can test ideas against a model of a target customer. And what I typically see is some sort of weird kind of fake sales pitch promise in a sense where it says, well, if you can use these models and these synthetic customers, you'll be able to focus human research where it matters most. It doesn't say what that is, but hypothetically, you would be focusing human research on what? Because the main types of human research that or humans doing research that you would be doing would either be early discovery research that would understand people so that you could even make these models if you wanted to, or not make the models, or you would be doing human based research testing ideas. Testing variables tells me that this is more of an A B test or ABC or multivariate test, but it sounds like they're not really focused on that qual idea of testing prototypes on real users, and you're just going to ask AI, hey, we've got A, B, or C. Which do you think people will like better? You know our customers because we fed you data about them. But that assumes that AI can accurately predict the way that people will think and behave based on the data you've given it. And if you haven't given it good data on how these people think and behave, then you're just asking AI to guess or hallucinate, and that's what you'll get. Ana Lucia says in the article, they're comparing interviewees' answers to synthetic users' answers. They were able to match it 80 to 90%. I was reading that and feeling like I was so sure there was something wrong there. Bad interviewers. They went into the study trying to confirm their hypothesis. Fishy. And we had a conversation about this in our Discord community, and I think it was Serendipity Gal who said that, look, synthetic customers have been around for many years. This isn't new with AI or LLMs. It's something that companies tried to do in the past when they felt like they knew enough about their target audience to say, look, we have a model of these people. We have a model of who these people are. We have a model of their perspectives and their preferences and their behaviors. And so given that model, which years ago wouldn't have even been AI based, we're going to consider our ideas and compare them to this model. We're going to consider our designs and compare them to this model. It's kind of just another way to look at personas in some ways and to say, okay, we designed something. Does it work for this persona? Does it work for their task? And now, instead of asking yourself that based on the data that you have on these people, you might be asking AI to do that based on models you've created on who these people are. Ana Lucia's pasted a quote from the article that says, "We built digital twins from historical respondent level data and ran the same tasks used in the original study, excluding the study itself from the training inputs. The digital twins replicated 90% of key outcomes. Identification of the most influential features that drive customers' choices, preference share for most of the products tested, correct portfolio level." Okay, so what Ana Lucia is pointing out is really important because you can take data you have about customers and you can train a synthetic customer or synthetic profile or synthetic persona or digital twin, and you can teach it to answer some questions the same ways, but that doesn't mean you have a good sense of what people really need. Let's say, so look at the second thing that Ana Lucia posted. A quote from the article says, identification of the most influential features that drive customer choices. And she says there's an image related to that. So, for example, they're saying that, and they use Gemini for this, they're saying that this is when they used that, when they I guess maybe this was a survey. I don't know if we find out if this is a survey or something else. It must be a survey. They've got 1,500 people. So this must have been a survey, and it must have been, what's the most important feature to you, or rank these features or something like that. I don't know if we find out in this article, but the idea was that um, the left side here is what humans said, and the right side, excuse me, the right side is after they trained the synthetic respondents. Here's what they did, and the synthetic users got the first two right, but then the rest of them are a little bit all over the place. You've got 9 and 7 being third and fourth for the synthetic users, but over here, 9 is sixth and 7 is eighth. So it's not even able to exactly replicate the so to me, I almost feel like this is a graphic representing partial success but partial failure, because the Gemini was able to pick up the top two most important things, but then couldn't pick up the third, couldn't pick up the fourth, did pick up the fifth, didn't pick up the sixth, did pick up the seventh, didn't pick up the eighth or ninth, did pick up the 10th. There's a lot of things here that don't match. So if they're saying this is good and this is successful, I would say, I would think that I would want this to match a lot more, to say that the digital twin or synthetic customer is being well represented by this model, because you trained it on 1,500 responses, and I feel like it should be getting more things right, and it's not. Ana Lucia says there are two images and they match, but I wouldn't trust synthetic users. Look at the other image. They have before and after of the training. Okay. As products exist in the market today, which brand do you prefer? And then it looks like they've got 7 brands or none. Human customers, here's what the human customers say for what they prefer, which is a choice of 8 different things. The early synthetic version um, was, I guess, not that close. It really indexed on brand E when humans didn't. And then when they trained it more, it was closer. But what does that mean? Because I think what's missing here are some very important details and subtleties. If I say to you, which brand do you prefer the most? Monday.com, Asana, Teamwork, Basecamp, Jira, Airtable, and we find out that let's say the big slice here that people seem to prefer the most, let's say Monday.com, just because I like them. Okay, let's say that we're able to replicate that and we're able to train a model to understand that this group prefers Monday.com. What do we really know? Do we know why they prefer that? Do we know why so few people prefer brand G? Do we know what is better about brand G than maybe even over Monday.com? What do we really know? It looks like we're training a model to replicate survey results, but why? That's my simple question. Why? What can you then do with this? Would product teams know what features to build, which features to build? Would product teams know what about brand D it makes people prefer it? Would they understand what's good about brand G even when few people prefer it? Do we understand why almost 20% of humans had no brand preference at all? That's a really interesting thing. So, the idea that you can train a model to replicate your survey results sounds like, look, we have these survey results and we need to make sure that our model can replicate these. So, we're going to train this model until it can replicate the survey results. And my thought is, okay, but why? And how much time and money did that model training cost you compared to just running a survey with humans? Because what does it really cost a company to send out a survey to humans? This is often not very expensive, especially since humans are not paid incentives. So, congratulations, you built a model that can replicate your survey results with some degree of accuracy. So what? Ana Lucia says, I imagine they want to replace users with digital twins. Right, but then you'd only be able to do this because let's say that we've trained a model to replicate the knowledge of which brand people prefer. Cool. That's all it does. The model, especially if not trained on the details and the whys, wouldn't be able to tell us why people prefer this brand, what they don't like about even the brand that they prefer. There's all of these nuances and subtleties and details and elements that a human researcher would learn, usually more through conversations and observations than through a survey. But okay, congratulations, you replicated this, and this one is partially replicated, but so what? So you've been able to replicate that. You've trained the model that people like feature 14 and feature 1 the most. Guess what? You still don't know how to build that. That's why my Atomic Product Market Fit book explains the difference between an idea or a feature or a function and its execution. Let's say that feature 14 is a task reminder feature. Okay, a task reminder feature can come in so many different flavors. So people prefer a task reminder feature? Great. Do they want to be texted? Do they want a web based notification? Do they want an email? Do they want an app notification? Do they want a combination of those? How much detail do they want when they get the notification? There's so many things that we still don't know. So even if we could train a model to know that feature 14, or what I'm pretending is a task notification feature, that is top priority to people, we still don't know how it should look, how it should work, how it shouldn't look, how it shouldn't work, how people use this now, where it fits into their workflows, and what it needs to do and be to really satisfy customers and continue building trust. Ana Lucia says, indeed. I remember one of my interviewees going on a rant in the grocery shop research. She complained a lot about her pain points whenever her husband went shopping, and it wasn't even a question. She had a broken leg and she was frustrated with staying put. I noticed it and tried to pry it out of her. I'm glad I did. Yeah, and so she might have a feature in mind, but what should that feature look like? How does it work? What are the steps of the process? This is where UX design still lives, and possibly service design. This is where, even if you think you want to use synthetic users or train models on your customers' preferences, which is very marketing focused, we still don't know what feature 14 should look like. We have no idea what the feature should look like. What shouldn't it look like? Do people have preferences based on other ones they've used? Oh, yeah, I like the way Monday.com does a task requirement, but not the way Asana does it. But teamwork was also pretty good. I liked this part of it, but not this. Hey, there's so many things that we can learn when we're actually observing people and talking to them. And even if you think you want to use synthetic users, synthetic customers, digital twins, whatever you're calling them, you're you're probably only just scratching the surface. You might be able to teach the system. Okay, so we taught the system to replicate a thing. Now what? So what? As I say in my book, it's like saying, I'm going to go out and find all the four-leaf clovers I can. You go out and you find a few four-leaf clovers. You've proven there's four-leaf clovers. Now what? So this is still not something that I would use. Um, Prove reliability, um, adjust your operating model, but I don't understand what I would do with this. And the interesting thing is, my guess is that if I show this to Claude, let's see, can I do new? Okay. Here is an article, critical thinking time. What's wrong with this? And again, I can tell you what's wrong with it. I still have a brain. I can still think, but I'm very curious what would happen if you plugged it into Claude and said, what's wrong with this article? So here's what Claude says. The article is well written and makes some legitimate points, but there are things worth pushing back on. The 90% accuracy claim is doing a lot of heavy lifting. This is the centerpiece of the credibility article, and it's deeply circular. They back tested synthetic customers against a prior conjoint study, meaning the ground truth is itself a research artifact, not actual customer behavior. Replicating a survey isn't the same as predicting what customers will do. See, again, even if you don't want to use your own brain, you can ask Claude, and I would agree because I said this before we looked at Claude. The gap between said and did is literally listed as a problem with traditional research 2 sections earlier, and then quietly forgotten when validating synthetic outputs. Next, Bain is validating Bain's work. Good point, Claude. Clappity clap. No independent replication, no named clients. US Bank and Target are mentioned for color, not as case studies with measurable outcomes. The authors are selling a capability they built. That's not disqualifying, but the article reads as marketing dressed up as research. Ooh, oh, take it, Claude. The fraud and bot problem with surveys is real, but synthetic customers are bots. Oh, Claude. Oh, well done. They list survey bot contamination as a reason to move towards synthetic customers. That's not a solution, it's a substitution. Now your entire sample is synthetic. The epistemological problem doesn't go away, it gets laundered. That's a really good point. So they're saying, look, we realize that in this survey we might have had some bots, but guess what? You don't have to worry about bots if you're using synthetic customers. Claude's point is perfect. Okay, great. Now instead of having 11% bots, you have 100% bots. I'm not sure you've solved this. Decision grade is undefined. They use this phrase as if it means something rigorous. It doesn't appear to have a defined threshold or standard. The LLM empathy caveat is buried and underweighted. LLMs still lack true empathy. Gets one sentence at the top as a limitation. Then the rest of the article proceeds as if it barely matters. For anything involving emotional drivers of purchase, which is most of consumer marketing, that's not a footnote. Yes, Claude's making another great point here that very often drivers of purchases, especially B2C purchases, are going to involve uh, some emotions or sense of attachment to something. First party data as the magic ingredient. They're emphatic that proprietary data is what makes synthetic customers reliable, but most companies don't have the depth of historical respondent level data that the unnamed consumer tech company apparently had. The use case that anchors the credibility argument may not generalize at all. The article isn't wrong exactly. There's probably something real here, but it reads like a capability pitch positioned as thought leadership, which is a very vain thing to do. Thanks. It's really fishy, and I appreciate you saying it's circular. This is me typing to Claude. Um, definitely. What do I want to say? Um, um, good points. And Um, to me, there's something really hollow about running a survey with 1,500 people, not washing it for bots or liars, training a model to semi replicate those results, and then acting like this is a good practice. They didn't seem to use qual data, so we don't know behaviors, tasks, workflows, etc. So that's what I'm saying to Claude. And Claude's response is yes, exactly. And that last point is underappreciated. Conjoint studies measure stated preference trade offs, which are one step removed from behavior. If your synthetic customers are trained to replicate those, you've now got AI that's good at predicting what people say they would choose in a hypothetical, not what they actually do, need, or struggle with. It's a preference simulation, not behavioral understanding. Ana Lucia says, I couldn't pinpoint exactly why this was reading so weird. Oh, yes, synthetic users is great. We have a 90% match. They were kind of going on a confirmation bias and auto validating themselves. Yep. Continuing what Claude is responding to me, the qual absence is huge. No jobs to be done, no friction points, no workarounds people have built, no, I said I'd pay X dollars, but actually I just pirate it. The rich, messy stuff that drives real product decisions completely absent, and synthetic customers can't hallucinate that in reliably because it requires the kind of contextual, situated knowledge that only comes from watching or talking to real people doing real things. There's also something worth naming about what this optimizes for speed and scale of the wrong thing. You can now run 50 conjoint variations instead of 5. But if the underlying methodology is flawed, and stated preference research has known documented limits, you've just industrialized the flaw. Fast or wrong isn't better. The bot washing point you raised is actually sharper than it might seem on the surface. Thanks. They're essentially saying surveys are contaminated by fake respondents, so let's replace all respondents with fake ones, but controlled fake ones. The only thing that changes is who's in charge of the fakeness. That's not a methodological advance, it's a liability shift. What's your context for reading this? Are you evaluating it for a client or someone floating this as a research methodology you'd have to work with? Nah, it's my AMA stream, and someone brought it up as a discussion topic. Perfect topic. It's got enough surface credibility to fool people who haven't done real research, but it unravels pretty fast under scrutiny. Your crowd will probably enjoy the bot replacing bots point most. It's pithy and lands. Thank you, Claude. So yeah, as usual, I would have to say that this article seems pretty garbagey. Certainly self-referential. Certainly setting out to prove a point. So heavy on the confirmation bias. Trying to recommend that people build models to replicate survey results is just bizarre because surveys are already one of the most manipulated things on the planet, both in their design and in their analysis. And now you're just manipulating them more by saying, well, let's get a bot to agree with these survey results. And then you can say, hooray, we built a bot to agree with the survey results. Cool, now what? Ana Lucia says, then why are they even doing research at all if it's all fake? They can just do whatever they want. Now they have bots saying XYZ and they built that. Are they running away from accountability? I think this article runs away from a lot of things. Let me also grab the link so I can put it in the YouTube description after the show ends. Um, yeah, definitely running away from a lot. And as Claude pointed out, it's designed to sound like thought leadership. Oh, wow, Bain is so wonderful. They're really helping their clients with synthetic users. And wow, that's going to help us make better decisions faster. And my thought is maybe, but only if you've trained it with much, much deeper qualitative data. Like for those of you who've seen me run my Claude skill on some of my research transcripts, could Claude create a decent model of the different segments or customer profiles or whatever that were surfaced from the research transcripts? Could they turn those into synthetic users? We could, but again, only with a certain degree of accuracy because we are guessing how people will make a decision based on other things they might have talked about. We might not know. If we didn't ask them questions around that type of decision, then trying to get our model to say, how would these people make this decision? Or what would they value? Or what works best for them? This is all just guessing and potential requested hallucinations. Ana Lucia says, what are better decisions in this case? If the users or customers are bots, they're making decisions for bots and not for people. Yeah, we really don't know. We just really, really don't know. Um, we don't know. Congratulations, you trained a bot to replicate your survey results. It will now tell you the same thing or something close to what your survey said. Now what? So what? What's your point? You can't ask it any other questions. If your survey questions are out of these 10 features, which one's the most important to you? You can't ask it, should that feature have wings? Should that feature have legs? Should that feature have a button over here? We don't know. We only know that when asked to prioritize a list or pick a favorite, that's what people picked, true or not. Maybe bots answered the survey. Maybe liars who got a hold of the survey answered the survey just to be wacky. And so we don't know. It's just unfortunately very flawed. Okay, cool. We're getting an anonymous question in. So let's shift over to that. Thanks to Ana Lucia for a groovy topic. And now we'll put up a new question. Let's put this up, then I'll make it a little smaller so we can read it. Oop, hold on. Okay, it's a little bit of a long question, but I'll read it thoroughly. It says, as a senior UX researcher, how do you handle a situation where a close design partner routinely keeps you in the dark about planning, even minimizing the state of upcoming milestones, built out a major product roadmap or workshop track on unvetted assumptions, only to drop a fully formed agenda with massive unvetted research dependencies? I'm having this with a designer at the moment. How can I deal with this? What strategies can I use to work together better? So, to me, there's a few steps you can take here. And first would be to talk to the person directly. I wouldn't go around them or above them unless you've already tried to talk to them about that and try to tell them, hey, when I'm not included in the planning, that ends up leaving me scrambling later on when the project needs something. Or I'm concerned about our process here. We're supposed to be partners. You're the designer, I'm the researcher. But then all of a sudden, you're just dropping some things on me without being a real partner to me. And I think all of our projects could be better if we worked more as partners. If you've already tried saying something to them and they didn't make a shift, that's typically when I go to a manager, not to complain about this person or report them or try to get them in trouble, because I don't think that's really warranted. But just to say, hey, I think I'm having a process problem with my design partner. I expect to work with them this way. I expect to see this at this point. I expect to be involved in this at this point. I expect to be on the roadmap for this research at this point, and I expect this. But instead, what's happening is this. So I'm expecting this, I'm getting this. I'm not trying to get this person in trouble or report them or anything, but I tried to talk to them about including me more in the process and being more of a partner to me. And they have continued just kind of dropping things on the team and excluding me from the conversations. And I think a good idea would be to come up with a documented process that all of the design and research partners can follow as partners. And sometimes that means you sketching that out before you talk to your manager. Because if you just dump it on your manager and say, hey, can you sketch out a research process so I can work better with this person? That will be so low on their to do list, you might never see it. So I would say you should sketch out that improved process. Sure, you can try to bring it to the design partner first and say, hey, our current process looks like this. I've sketched it out. This is why I don't think it's working for me, and maybe not even for you as well as it could. And then I think I've sketched it out. Here's what our process should look like. Here's what you do. Here's what I do. Here's when we do things together. Here's when something I do impacts you. Here's when something you do impacts me. And I've sketched this out. Where would you say that has room for improvement? Let's improve this together. And then see if they say, yeah, okay, let's try a variation of that. Or if they say no, we're going to do it the way I've been doing it, too bad. That's usually when I would consider going to a manager and saying, I tried to bring this to my design partner and they said no, it's everything has to work the way they're saying. Oh, somebody says, this is my question. Well, thank you, super. Thanks for the response, Debbie. I felt stuck on whether I should raise it to my manager or not. It's a consistent issue, but I haven't been blunt with the designer yet. And again, I think the importance is not bluntness, because that can sometimes be taken very badly. And I think what I would do is just sketch out processes. I mean, a good designer understands user flows and processes, right? We're making them for our customers or users. So, hey, this is what our process looks like right now. You, as a designer, end up making this roadmap or these milestones. You end up doing this workshop or this. You end up designing based on assumptions where I could be filling in evidence, data, and knowledge, and you don't have to work from guesses. So this is what our process looks like now, and I have to say it's problematic for me because it's not a partnership. It's kind of leaving me out. It's kind of acting like you're just going to drop stuff and you don't need good research data on customers, and you're just going to run with assumptions. But that's very risky. Maybe, super, you have an example of a time when that didn't work out. Hey, I don't want to hold this over your head, but remember that time that you designed that thing based on the assumptions you and the product manager had, that people would want this and people would do this. And then we ended up finding that wasn't the case. And that's exactly the type of thing that research can help everybody avoid in the future so that your work is more streamlined. And hey, it's my job to make everybody look good. I want you to look good. I don't want you to end up using bad data or assumptions. I want you to have good data so that you can make the best design for people. So I've sketched out an alternative process that I think would be better for us. It would help us be more of a partnership where I'm influencing what you do, you're influencing what I do, and we can bring this back together for everybody's benefit, especially the customer. So I wouldn't go in just being blunt. That's where I would really put on my diplomatic hat because I want to make sure this person hears me and doesn't just hear bluntness or frustration or I can't deal with this, or hey, I'm left out, because you don't want to accidentally make it emotional. Sometimes, if you go to someone and you say, hey, you're leaving me out, then people go, you're just complaining, or you're just emotional. And I think it's better if we can take the emotions out of it and say, hey, this is this process that's been happening. But unfortunately, it doesn't make us a stronger partnership. It leaves us open to risk. And I'm concerned about the times when you're not working from good data about users. And my entire job is to make you look good and to make sure you have all the right information to design the right thing the first time and not be guessing or assuming. Super says, gotcha. At the moment, UXD and UXR meet separately with PMs on our team. I was thinking of suggesting turning these into joint meetings. What do you think? Yes, I think you can continue the separate meetings. If people like those and they're good meetings and good stuff happens, you can still have one on ones with your PM for whatever you're each working on. But definitely, there should be a meeting of the three of you. And when I used to work as a designer, in companies 10 or so years ago, that's typically what we did because that was the best way to strengthen that partnership and for everybody to be on the same page and pulling the project in the same direction versus, oh, these are all just one on ones and you have to hope the PM tells you what happened or you have to hope the designer tells you what happened. There's certainly good reasons for there to be one on one meetings, but especially where any decisions are being made, there should be that partnership. And I think the problem is that sometimes, especially product managers who've read some of the crappier books, but more famous books about product management, they think that the researcher is just an assistant that you only talk to when you have work for them, and the designer is your real partner. But in reality, both people can be partners, and especially if you look more closely, as my Atomic Product Market Fit book says, if you look more closely at what a lot of those product management books say, they say, don't decide what you're building without really understanding your users and customers. Do the discovery research, test the prototypes. And so that message is in there. But the problem is there's other messages as well, like, well, you don't always totally need a researcher and the designer's really your partner. But hey, if you're a product manager, maybe both of these people are your enslaved peoples. And so there's a lot of mixed messages there. And so the angle my book has taken, and maybe my book would help you, check it out if you're interested, is that we might have to remind people that a team is a team and that the team should be working together and making decisions together. And yes, there are good reasons to have one-on-ones, but there's also important reasons to have team meetings because you're all working on the same thing going in the same direction. Super says, yeah, exactly. I'm seeing UXD and PMs are more tightly linked, and I'm an afterthought. Yeah, and again, this sometimes comes from famous product management books that I would say are rather wrong. But again, are these product management books are designed to empower product managers and disempower designers and researchers. And I just try to remind these people that if you believe in product trios or product quads or an empowered team that works together and makes decisions together, then guess what? You've got to work together and make decisions together. And if they say, well, I read a book that says blah, blah, blah. Yes, but your book also said Use excellent research to make sure you know your customers. Don't solve problems and build without making sure you really understand the opportunities to serve these people and really solve their problems. That designs or ideas or concepts or features that don't really solve their problems are likely to fail in smaller large ways. And hey, no offense, but your book was written by a product manager who wanted to heavily empower product managers and kind of disempowers other people in the process. And so we have to kind of take a look at what's in that book and pull out the best of it and kind of push to the side the things that are going to disempower others, because nobody on the team wants to be disempowered. Nobody on the team wants to be treated as an assistant. Your product manager would not like it if you always collaborated and worked with your designer and never talked to the product manager. They probably wouldn't like that. And if the designer never talked to the product manager, they would feel left out. They would feel like, hey, this is a team and we're all supposed to work together. And hey, we're supposed to be empowered. And hey, we're supposed to. Yeah, exactly. If you wouldn't want it to happen to you, if you wouldn't want to be left out of these things, hey, guess what? I shouldn't be left out of these things either. This is a team. And we are a team of equals who all bring different skill sets to the table. And again, and if that's not happening, that's usually when I go to a manager and say, "Look, I'm not trying to get anybody in trouble, but unfortunately, we have a process problem where I should be a collaborator, especially since every job interview says, tell me how you collaborated with your product manager. Well, if you're being left out, that doesn't make any sense. Every job wants you to, you might even go find your job description, collaborate with product managers. Hey, it's in my job description. And sometimes you have to bring that to your manager and say, hey, I think we have a process problem. Um, my job description even said you're going to work closely with your product manager. You're going to have a real team who's going to work together towards making great things for users. And I'm being treated as an assistant. I'm being left out of the process. But again, draw what the process should be. Okay, here's what's going on now. And here's what should be going on if we want an empowered team where everybody is equally important and everybody brings something to the table and to the process. Super, how's that sounding? You're probably about 40 seconds delayed because of YouTube, so I always recommend Twitch. Um, Yeah, so we'll see what Super thinks of that. If anybody has any comments or wants to ask a follow up question, please join in the conversation wherever you are, Twitch, LinkedIn, YouTube. If you have any advice for Super, put it up there. Other than that, we are almost out of time today. So while we wait for Super to respond, just a reminder that I am away next week. So we are not going to have our usual Wednesday Ask Me Anything show. I am going to still try to do the Tuesday Discord. The first Tuesday of every month, I go on our Discord community, which is free to join. Go to dcx.to, and I do free resume reviews, CV reviews, and portfolio reviews. I will try to still hold that next Tuesday, but I might have to move it later because I'm going to a conference. But we will not have the Ask Me Anything. I don't, you know what? I might try to do the Ask Me Anything, but it'll be from my tablet in a hotel room. So we'll see. Super says, sounds amazing. I need to put more thought into the ideal relationship and how to communicate that. Definitely more partnership, but I don't want him to feel constrained. Yeah. And again, I do coaching. If you think it's something you want to work on with me, I think I said that right. Please jump into my calendar. The first half hour call is free. After that, I do charge. I'm wondering if you're in Europe. I'm charging 70 euros an hour right now for my coaching. I recently lowered it, so I hope it's more accessible to people. But even the half hour, we might be able to bang out some of this. So if I can help, jump into the work coaching calendar. Again, I'm away next week, but grab any time that you see available. And if this is on fire, let me know and I'll make time for you while I'm away next week. So, what else? I think that's mostly that. Yes. And then I'll be back the week of Monday the 8th, and we'll get back to let's see. Yes, we'll be streaming on Tuesday and Wednesday. So, yeah. So, I'm going to start playing the background wrapping up music. Thanks to everybody who joined today. And hopefully maybe your question was answered also. And if you have something you want to send in, you can always send it to dcx.to/q. I will hold on to it for either next Wednesday's stream, or if that ends up not happening, the Wednesday after, and you'll be among the first to get your questions answered. Otherwise, please join the Discord. I'm always there and answering things and trying to help out. So let me know what I can do for you. So I am going to queue up the end of the show screen and wrap up for today. Have a great rest of your week, everybody, and see you next week.